Hey everybody, my name is Gerry, I'm from Walt and I, and in this video I'm once again answering one of my clients' questions, and it revolves around exporting out of Lightroom. Now it seems like a pretty simple thing, but it's important because for a lot of new people on Lightroom, they'll get involved, they'll get the images in, they'll do the develop and they do all of that, but then what? You can't do anything with the image as it is in Lightroom. So you need to export it to a file and then from there get it onto Instagram. So let's go into Lightroom. These are all images that I've already processed. So I've got all of these different ones. These are all from Iceland from earlier this year, actually. Oh, early last year. So I now want to take, for example, this one and I want to export it. So a couple of ways. With the image selected, I can go File, Export, and click there. Let me click and show you. It comes up with this dialog. I'm going to cancel. I can right click on the image and say Export. I'll tell you about these two options now. Click Export and it brings up this dialog. Okay, so let's now start from the beginning. Again, I want to export this image. I'd go right click, Export, and I select the top. Now, I'm just going to quickly minimize all of these so we can work through each of these options and then we can go from there. All right, so from the very top, export location. At the top, export to hard drive. Yes, that's what we're going to do now. Export location, open this. This is where Lightroom is going to save your new final file. So, export, I want to do a specific folder. I am going to go then and select. Here you can choose where you want this image to go. So I'm going to say go to desktop, and I'm going to say I want to create a new folder called Iceland Export. You can call this whatever you want, and done. And I select choose. So then I can double check here, folder users, Gerry from Old Desktop, Iceland Exports. Now, if you want to have directories inside of it, I can do this and say 2021. So then it'll create a new directory. But for now, not going to do that. I'm also, for the purposes of speaking to Mo, my client here, I wouldn't add this back into the catalog because unless you're kind of used to Lightroom down the line, you're going to have the raw file with adjustments and the JPEG file next to it, and they look the same, but which one could you... Okay, leave it for now. Then, existing files. Ask what to do, choose a name, or overwrite. Now, what this means is if there's a file name that already exists and you export this and there's a clash and the name is the same, Lightroom can either choose a new name, it can overwrite without warning, or skip. Easiest for me is I leave it on ask what to do. Number one, it makes me aware of it, and I can then choose the appropriate action at the time. Okay, export location done. File naming. Now, for most of us, your file names will be as it came in from camera. Okay, now you want to give it the name. So you don't want to export it as raw 443.cr2 if you're a Canon shooter. So click on rename to and select in here custom name. Now I can write the name that I want to use. So I'm going to say Lava Cave in Iceland. All right, here it gives you an example. At the bottom, you can say extensions, lowercase or uppercase. Till today, I don't actually know why I would choose one or the other, but my OCD says to me they all have to be small letters. Right, video, I'm going to skip this for now because this is not a video. File settings. So in here, image format. This is the format you want to use. Now, for 90% of the time, you're going to use JPEG, if for Instagram, email, website, social media. sRGB is where you want to export to if you're using it on any digital device or the internet. The internet color space is sRGB. If you want to process it in a different program, you would select something else here, but then you would more than likely also use a different file, such as a PSD, a TIFF, or a PNG. So, for the purposes of now, JPEG. Make sure, for some reason, this on native when you open Lightroom is like way down. Jack that up all the way and don't limit your file size. Okay, we want high res full images. Next one, image sizing. Now, the first thing you come and check down is resolution. If you are wanting to print this or send someone a high resolution version, that is 300. That is for print. Okay. If you are going to use this for email or social media, you do 72 and then you go from there. Resize to fit. what I do, here you can say exact width and dimension, short edge, whatever the case might be. I always prefer to choose long edge because now I know this is a landscape orientation, and for social, I'm going to do 2560 on the long edge. Simple, yeah? I don't often click this because there's very few instances that I would force this higher. So for the purposes of now, Mo, long edge, 2560 and 72. That's for your purposes. Output sharpening. Now, this has changed a lot over the last while. I've never used this particular thing, but if you want to, sharpen for screen, and then it's low, medium, and high. You can also do for matte paper or glossy paper. To me, this is way too vague. Screen, what is low, what is center, what is high. It'll also depend, what is the image? Is it an image of a furry lion with lots of mane, or is it a landscape with soft clouds? So I normally leave this out. Sharpening I do in Topaz or in Photoshop for another time. Metadata. For the purposes of now, you can remove everything, right? All except the camera raw info, which is built in. If you have your copyright set up to write it in the back end, I normally leave it on all metadata. Right, you can remove these as needed. Mo, for you, all metadata, leave, move on. Watermarking, here you can add a watermark onto your image as it exports. Now, I'm not going to do this now. I'm going to do a standalone on this, right, of how to work that. Then the last one here, post-processing. What do you want Lightroom to do once the file has been exported? Do nothing. Then the dialog will just close. You can show it in the Finder. So that's what I'm going to choose now, that when it's exported, it then pops up in the Finder. If you're going to carry on, you can select another program to open the file once it's created out of Lightroom. Okay, so I am going to go and say show in Finder. That's it. That's my export dialog. So let's do this. I'm going to hit export. So Lightroom is now creating this file. You can see at the top here. And then it opens my Finder with my file. And if I look at that, there is my final image. Now, just a little addition to all of that. Let's now say I want to also export this image, right? I can say export with previous. So what that does is it keeps all the settings the same that you've had on the previous one. But remember now, it's the file name. So it says this file already exists. What do you want to do? Do you want to cancel it? No, obviously not. Skip it? No, I want to export it. Overwrite it? No, because I want both. So use unique names. Watch what happens. Lightroom then crunches the file, it exports it, and it does -2. Okay, so you can, for example, if you want to export all your Masamara photos, do one, and then each time you finish processing, you can go right-click, export with previous, and so on and so forth, and it'll end up as 2, 3, 4, 5. Alternatively, and this is the last bit to this, if I want to export a series of images, I can select the first one, shift, and the last one, and it gives me this. I right-click on any of them. I'll say export. If you want to change the details, you can do export. Otherwise, export with or with previous brings up this. So it says there's already 2 files with similar names. What do? Use unique names. So watch. Lightroom is now exporting 9 files. These images are so amazing, it's taking a while. So exporting 9 files. And when the Finder window now opens, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all labeled accordingly. Let's wait for it. And there we go. So there's my original, and then 2, 3, 4, and so on. So that is a very, very basic look at exporting. Then if you want to do anything with those files, airdrop them, Mo, from your camera to your phone, and from your laptop to your phone, and off you go. So if you have any questions, Mo, or anybody else watching, send me a mail, hit me up on social media, and I'm going to keep diving deeper and do very specific short videos. Next one up is going to be watermarking, but that's for another time. Good luck, happy editing, happy exporting. I'll see you in the next video. My name is Gerry, I'm from Walt and I. Have a good one.